Okay, so today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite patterns. It's a more advanced topic of pattern surfing, so if you haven't watched that video, I recommend going back to watch that. I will leave it in the description, but let's continue. So, this pattern is called the black-white-gray pattern, and it can help us remove friction in our life and also speed up our development. Even though it is quite advanced, I would say that this is a beginner-friendly pattern, so stick with me and I will explain to you what it is, how to use it, and, well, yeah, everything you need to take this on and go develop it. So, the pattern is called black, white, gray, and we can consider this a spectrum. Right, we have white or black on one side, moving into gray in the middle, and then white on the other side. So, why is this relevant? Let's bring you a basic example. So, let's say you start out in life, your parents aren't really that fitness interested, you kind of grow up, when you're 18, 20, you start realizing that, oh, I actually don't know much about physical health, like eating well, exercising, whatnot. And you find yourself on the black side of the spectrum, darkness, right? You are on that side of the spectrum, you don't really know anything about the topic, you are in the dark. So naturally, once you run into your first health scare, or maybe you get educated and feel like, yeah, this is something I need to pick up, you will react away from black all the way to the other side of the spectrum, which is white. And so we jump from black to white, and in this case it could be obsessively going to the gym, counting calories, rigidly following rules, and kind of making this health journey, physical health journey, a full-term or full-time job. So we jump from black, we react away from where we were into the extreme, which is white. Another example could be you grow up completely non-religious, black, you don't really care at all, you might have your first religious experience or maybe spiritual experience, and boom, you react away from black all the way to white. And now you are following rigid rules, maybe you are taking the Bible or whichever book literally, you are following what a spiritual person should be, you are following content creators that are kind of giving you a rule book and, you know, solutions that you need to follow with willpower. So, it's this reacting away from black to white. Or let's say you lived in a sheltered household, you're not a party person at all, you're black, you head to college, and then boom, you get connected with party. And then you react away from black, where there's no party, all the way into white, which is party twice a week or more. So we tend to jump from this extreme, from black to white, and that's the first part of this pattern. So, why do we tend to jump from black all the way to white in these different instances of life? Well, if we look at fitness, for example, somebody might start with black, not really having much idea of fitness. They jump over to black and now they are taking all the supplements, they are going to the gym, they are focused on eating, counting calories, all this, and it's simply not sustainable, but the information that they consume are actually from people who are operating in white, like fitness YouTubers, for example. It is important to remember how many of these platforms work. We have thousands of fitness influencers whose only job is to be fit, is to look good, and to crank out content that will get views with big promises every week. Otherwise, they will run out of work. Their incentive is also not really to make you watch one video and then figure it out for yourself. You're meant to kind of come back although sometimes it's not conscious, but it's just the nature of influencers. If they lose their audience, they lose their job. Although I don't walk around thinking that, oh, influencers want to keep you in a loop. No, it's just how the platforms work. It needs to be novel, it needs to be sexy. So this is white content that we are consuming, and then we think that that is sustainable, but in reality, in many cases, these are extremes. So be careful which content you are consuming. It might just be that this niche or this YouTuber has this little niche as their whole life, and you are trying to find something more nuanced than this. Remember, we start at black, we move into white, and eventually we can land into gray. That is where we want to end up. So food-wise, for example, again, we're using this example, we start with being in the dark about food. We don't know what is healthy, we just drink soda because our parents didn't say anything. Then we react away from that. We read all the books on the topic, if we're lucky. We learn which food is unhealthy. We learned about processed food, ultra-processed food, and then we create these rigid rules to ourselves. We kind of spend some time in white, and then we realize that that is not sustainable, and we can then use our knowledge that we have gained from black, what is unhealthy, and white, what is potentially healthy, and then we land into something that is more organic, something that is more true for us. So there's no manual on what is gray, where we want to land, but we have to go through white, black, to be able to appreciate the nuances of gray. So if we look at our lives and we see where there is friction, right, where we are trying to follow all the rules to get the best result, we might be stuck in white. If we don't know much about a topic and we are operating in confusion, we might be black. And it's worthwhile to be able to pinpoint where we are on the spectrum, because we want to head towards gray. So health-wise, what would a gray example be? It is when we can use our knowledge from black and white to find our gray. So that would be knowing which foods are healthy, which foods are unhealthy, which foods give me energy. What is the purpose of me eating? Is it to be full, or is it to give me energy? And then follow what works for me. This type of advice is quite hard to find on the internet because it doesn't sell. No video is going to have 1 million views that says listen to your body or something like that. No, it just doesn't work like that. Religion wise, right? No religion, then you start following everything. What is a spiritual person? A spiritual person should not have desires, should not be sad, should not consume any animal products, whatever. Eventually, once you follow these rules for a long time, you might realize that, hey, even though some of these choices are good, I don't want guilt to be my main driving force. Maybe I can integrate some of these things into my life and live a happy and peaceful life. Maybe that is what we learn from this, that many of these guidelines from spirituality and religion are just meant to help us live great lives. So that would perhaps be something gray, for me at least. But it comes from recognizing that, hey, I've been stuck in white. I've been following these influencers that are marketing this unsustainable white perspective, dialing it back, learning from it, learning from both sides, and then landing in gray. A great example are these influencers that only eat meat, for example, right? It is simply not sustainable for a person who has 3 kids, a job, hobbies, to only eat meat. But some of these people are trying to make it seem like this is a gray perspective when actually it is white. Also, avoiding all plastics. You know, it might be good, but we have to dial it back a little bit and see what works for us. So there's actually a extra stage in this black, white, gray pattern that comes before finding this nuance in gray, and I call this pendulum. So what is pendulum? How do you know if you are in pendulum instead of black, white, or gray? Pendulum is something that goes like this, from one side to the other. So fitness-wise, you know, you start in black with not having any idea of fitness, getting fat, getting unhealthy. Then you move into white. It's working out every day, using borrowed willpower, kind of pushing the limits, following rules rigidly. And then you do that for a week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, and then boom, you fall back to black. And here, now you feel bad, you are gathering energy again, but you feel bad, so lots of energy goes into the investment of just feeling bad. Then you muster up this willpower again, and you jump to the other side of the spectrum, which lasts for a week, and then you jump back, and then you jump back, and then you jump back. This is the same, like a JoJo diet, it's the same thing. You are jumping from black to white, to black to white. Again, people who suppress parts of themselves by following religious rules, right? They tend to indulge black, white. This is the pendulum stage. It's not only black, it's not only white, but it is someone who hasn't found this nuance in between, and they are jumping back and forth. This is very energy costly to do. Also, it's common for people to be quite heavy on themselves or quite hard on themselves in this pendulum stage. So recognizing in our own lives, am I in pendulum stage? Am I black? Am I white? And how can I learn from this to kind of move into my own gray? It's also worth recognizing in which areas of my life have my family culture given me gray. So you might have a father or a mother who is really into cooking, healthy foods, and you might have inherited a gray worldview in this topic, which is lucky, right? Some people have really healthy parents, or parents that are spiritually aligned, or where they have found this gray and you kind of inherited that. That is also worth noting, so you can appreciate that and learn from that. What does gray feel like? Because the goal is not just to take on and surf on what is handed to us, but also take these areas where we are white, where we are black, where we are pendulum, and kind of convert that into gray. That's the goal. And then it's great if we know these stages. The Buddha has a similar metaphor. He calls it the middle path, what is in between black, white, gray. If you want to dive more into that, you can search online for Buddha middle path metaphor, and you will find something similar on this. But I would like to use this pattern, also combined with Buddha's metaphor of finding the middle path, to make this pattern even more surfable, or even more applicable to someone's life. So, let's say you are reading a piece of content online, and you find a very dramatic worldview, right? Somebody saying, is evil, or is the most important thing in the world, right? This means that they are operating from one side of the spectrum. And while it is important not to inherit that side of the spectrum, because that's where we don't want to end up, we can use their statement to figure out, where is the opposite of that, and then find a middle path for that topic. I will explain. So let's use this working out example again. Somebody saying online that working out is the best, the single thing that is the most important in life. You can tell that this is a white perspective, You can also generate the black perspective by going 180 degrees from this, which in this case would be working out is a complete waste of time, or working out is not important at all. And then from there you can generate the middle path of this. And you can do this with pretty much anything. Anything that you can really think of. Let's say somebody says money is not important at all. Like, this is a black perspective. You can generate that money is the most important thing in the world, and all your time should be used into gathering this resource. This is a white perspective. Now it's time to use these two to generate a middle path. And a middle path is all about holding paradox. It's about recognizing that money is not important, but at the same time it is important. This is about holding paradox. Most people have difficulties because they fight, oh no, money is not important, money is important, and then they fight. But being able to generate a middle path means that you can hold that both can be true and partly false at the same time, and you need to do this in order to generate the middle path. So the middle path for money, for me, could be something along the lines of I recognize that money is not the most important thing in the world, but I still value money. I want to be able to have money so that I can do things. But I also don't want to just chase money because money is just something that allows me to do things and allows me to manifest things into real life, etc., etc. Whatever works for you. Another middle path could be somebody saying that like my culture is the best, and then somebody saying, oh, I hate my culture. A middle path here could be that I recognize that there are great things about my culture, but I also recognize that there are things that is a work in progress with this culture, and I appreciate the culture, but there are also other cultures that are nice. This was not the best example, but I'm trying to highlight that anything can be turned into a middle path. So, if you are experiencing friction in your life, like you can try to see both sides of this coin, generate this middle path for you. And the goal here is to become middle path generators, that wherever we see that we tend to jump from, oh, this is important, oh, it's not important, recognize that it doesn't have to be either or, it can be both. And this is the unlocking of being able to generate a middle path where both can be right, both can be true at the same time, and then we generate a middle path. And this can be this can release energy because we don't have to jump, we don't have to be indecisive, pick one or the other. We can actually recognize that, okay, there's a paradox, we can generate a gray perspective and kind of skip this pendulum. So let's rewind a bit. Black, white, gray pattern. There's pendulum in there. We can recognize where we have friction in our lives, see if we are either black or if we are white or if we are pendulum, and then we can try to learn from both sides again, recognizing that there's a paradox, and then integrate that gray worldview. We can also recognize when we find content that is clearly on either side of the spectrum, recognizing that there's probably a perspective that is 180 degrees from here, that is on the other side of the spectrum, and in between these there's a paradox, there's a gray area, and this is where the value lies, because you don't have to subscribe or fight with anyone on either side of the spectrum. You can just observe that it's hard to be 100% wrong, and it's also hard to be 100% right. So my value is going to be somewhere in the middle, and this is for you, not for anyone else. So Another benefit when we are in the middle, when we are gray, we also recognize that there's no need to fight on either side of the spectrum. We can allow peace and integration to come into our lives. So, good luck using this pattern. It has helped me a lot, and hopefully it will help you too. Bye.